What is up, guys? Today we're diving into a world of epic fails and jaw-dropping blunders because we're counting down the most expensive mistakes of all time. Get ready to have your minds blown as we uncover the stories behind these costly catastrophes. From spaceships going poof to entire companies taking a nosedive, these mistakes will have you saying, "Wait, what?" So buckle up, smash that like button, and get ready to be amazed, because some of these stories are seriously unbelievable. Alright, first up, we're blasting off to the Red Planet with NASA's Mars Climate Orbiter. This wasn't just some science project, we're talking a $125 million piece of equipment designed to study Mars's atmosphere. They launched this thing perfectly, sent it millions of miles through space, and then disaster struck. Imagine getting 99% on a test but failing because you missed one easy question. That's kind of what happened here. The orbiter entered Mars's atmosphere way too low, causing it to break apart. And the reason for this epic miscalculation? Get this, a unit conversion error. Someone forgot to convert their measurements from imperial to metric. One tiny mistake, one giant loss for mankind. This wasn't just a financial loss for NASA, it was a setback for space exploration. Can you imagine the looks on the engineers' faces when they realized what went wrong? Talk about a bad day at the office. Next up, we're talking rockets, specifically the Ariane 5 rocket. This European Space Agency project was a beast, designed to carry satellites into space, but just 40 seconds after liftoff, disaster struck. The rocket veered off course, started spinning uncontrollably, and then, boom! A massive explosion lit up the sky, visible for miles around. We're talking a $370 million fireworks show here, folks. And the culprit? You guessed it, another software error. This time, it was a simple integer overflow. The software tried to cram a number that was too big into a space that was too small, and the whole system went haywire. This catastrophic failure sent shockwaves through the space community. The Ariane 5 explosion was a stark reminder that even the tiniest coding error can have explosive consequences. Imagine the pressure those engineers were under after this happened. Talk about a high-stakes job. Now let's journey back in time to 1912 and talk about the unsinkable RMS Titanic. This luxurious ocean liner was the largest ship of its time, carrying over 2,200 passengers and crew. But on its maiden voyage from Southampton to New York City, tragedy struck. The Titanic, deemed a marvel of engineering, collided with an iceberg in the North Atlantic. The impact, though seemingly minor at first, proved fatal. The supposedly impenetrable hull was breached, and water poured into the ship's compartments. There weren't enough lifeboats for everyone on board, and the unsinkable ship began its descent to the ocean floor. Over 1,500 souls perished in the icy waters, making it one of the deadliest maritime disasters in history. The financial loss was staggering, estimated at $7.5 million back then, which is over $150 million in today's money. The Titanic serves as a haunting reminder of the unforgiving nature of the sea and the importance of humility in the face of even the most advanced technology. Chapter 4, Chernobyl, the $235 billion nuclear nightmare. In 1986, reactor number 4 at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in Ukraine experienced a catastrophic meltdown. It wasn't just a fire, it was a nuclear meltdown, releasing massive amounts of radioactive material into the atmosphere. The explosion and subsequent fire released a plume of radioactive material that spread across Europe, contaminating vast areas and causing widespread fear and panic. The immediate area around the plant became a ghost town, abandoned and uninhabitable due to the high levels of radiation. Thousands of people were displaced from their homes, and the long-term health effects of the disaster continue to be felt today. The economic impact was staggering, with estimates exceeding $235 billion in cleanup costs, healthcare expenses, and lost productivity. Chernobyl stands as a stark warning about the potential dangers of nuclear power and the importance of safety protocols. Chapter 5. The Deepwater Horizon Disaster, an Environmental Catastrophe. In 2010, an explosion on the Deepwater Horizon oil rig unleashed the worst environmental disaster in U.S. history. It wasn't just a spill, it was a gusher, spewing millions of barrels of crude oil into the ocean for months. This disaster had a devastating impact on marine life, coastal ecosystems, and the livelihoods of people who depended on the Gulf. Images of oil-soaked birds and dying dolphins filled our screens, highlighting the true cost of this catastrophe. BP, the company responsible for the spill, faced intense scrutiny and criticism for its handling of the disaster. They eventually agreed to pay billions of dollars in fines, settlements, and cleanup costs. The Deepwater Horizon oil spill serves as a stark reminder of the risks associated with offshore drilling and the importance of environmental responsibility. It's a wake-up call that we need to find alternative sources of energy and protect our planet from further harm. Chapter 6. Selling Manhattan for Peanuts, the $24 deal of the century. In 1626, the Dutch West India Company bought the island of Manhattan from the Lenape Native Americans for a bunch of trinkets and beads worth about $24. The island that's now home to Wall Street, Times Square, and some of the most expensive real estate in the world was sold for less than a tank of gas. Now, I'm no real estate mogul, but that seems like a pretty bad deal. Imagine what the Lenape people would think if they could see Manhattan today. Talk about buyer's remorse on a massive scale. This historical transaction highlights the complexities of land ownership, cultural differences, and the lasting impact of colonization. It's a reminder that what might seem like a fair deal at one point in time can become a colossal blunder in hindsight. Chapter 7. The dot-com disaster. The AOL-Time Warner merger. Remember the dot-com bubble? Back in the late 90s and early 2000s, internet companies were all the rage. Everyone thought they were going to be millionaires by investing in anything with a.com at the end of its name. And then came the crash. One of the biggest casualties of the dot-com bust was the merger between AOL and Time Warner. This $350 billion deal was supposed to be a match made in heaven, combining AOL's internet dominance with Time Warner's media empire. But it turned out to be a disaster. The cultures clashed, the synergies never materialized, and the dot-com bubble burst, sending their stock price plummeting. Chapter 8. In 2011, a massive earthquake off the coast of Japan triggered a tsunami that devastated the country's eastern coastline. The tsunami waves, some reaching over 100 feet high, overwhelmed seawalls and inundated coastal communities, causing widespread destruction and loss of life. One of the most significant consequences of the tsunami was the meltdown at the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. The waves knocked out the plant's cooling systems, leading to a series of explosions and meltdowns that released radioactive material into the environment. The Fukushima disaster was the second-costliest natural disaster in history, with damages estimated at over $200 billion. The disaster highlighted the importance of disaster preparedness, particularly in seismically active regions, and the potential risks associated with nuclear power. Chapter 9. Remember the Samsung Galaxy Note 7? This smartphone was supposed to be Samsung's flagship device, but it turned out to be a fiery disaster. Shortly after its release, reports started surfacing of Note 7s catching fire and even exploding. It turned out there was a serious design flaw with the battery, causing it to overheat and, in some cases, explode. Samsung had to issue a global recall of all Note 7 devices, costing them an estimated $5.3 billion. The Note 7 fiasco highlighted the importance of rigorous product testing and the need for companies to respond swiftly and decisively to safety concerns. Chapter 10. Our final expensive mistake takes us back to 17th century Sweden with the Vasa warship. This mighty warship was supposed to be a symbol of Swedish naval power, but it sank just 1,300 meters into its maiden voyage. The Vasa was top-heavy, unstable, and poorly designed. It was basically an accident waiting to happen. The ship capsized in front of a crowd of horrified onlookers, sinking to the bottom of Stockholm harbor. The Vasa remained submerged for over 300 years before it was salvaged in 1961. Today, it's a popular tourist attraction in Stockholm, serving as a reminder of the importance of sound engineering and the perils of hubris. Outro. Well, there you have it, folks. The most expensive mistakes ever made. From spaceships going off course to smartphones catching fire, these blunders have cost billions of dollars, and in some cases, human lives. But beyond the financial losses, these mistakes offer valuable lessons about the importance of careful planning, rigorous testing, and a healthy dose of humility. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more amazing content. Which mistake shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments below.